He lay there on the cold, hard floor, one arm wrapped protectively around the tiny bodies of his sleeping twin babies. No bed. No blanket big enough for all three. Just a thin sheet between them and the wooden boards that creaked every time he moved. His face was tired, beard unshaven, eyes bloodshot from nights without sleep, but there was a strange peace in the way he held them, like the world could take everything from him except this moment. If you saw him right then, you'd probably scroll past. Just another struggling single dad, right? But stay with me, because by the time you hear what happened when that millionaire walked through his door, you'll realize you're not just watching a story, you're watching something that could change how you see people forever. And if you believe in second chances and real kindness, you're going to want to like this video and subscribe, because this story isn't just about surviving. It's about winning in the most unexpected way. 3 months earlier, John Parker had been a decorated Army veteran. He had his own small mechanic shop, a modest home, and a wife who always smelled like vanilla coffee in the mornings. Then the accident happened, a drunk driver at an intersection. His wife didn't make it. John woke up in the hospital with broken ribs, his shop sold off to cover debts, and twin babies, barely a year old, looking at him like he was the only thing left in their world. He tried everything. Odd jobs. Night shifts. Repair work on the side. But without someone to watch the twins, he kept losing work. Babysitters were too expensive. Government aid was a maze of paperwork that moved slower than his bills. Eventually, he had no choice but to rent the smallest room in a rundown building on the edge of town, barely big enough for a mattress, let alone a crib. So he gave the mattress to the twins and slept on the floor himself. Every night, he'd listen to their tiny breaths and promise them, "Daddy's gonna fix this. Just hold on." But every day, the world seemed colder. Then came the night that changed everything. It was raining hard, thunder rumbling in the distance, when someone knocked on his door. John frowned. He didn't have friends here. No one even knew this address except the landlord, and he only came for rent. John opened the door halfway, and froze. Standing there was Michael Langston, the man everyone in town whispered about. Multi-millionaire. Owner of half the real estate in the county. Sharp suit, polished shoes, a man used to getting exactly what he wanted. But Michael didn't look like he was there for business. His gaze had already moved past John, and was fixed on the mattress in the corner, where the twins lay curled up under a thin blanket. John instinctively stepped to block the view. "Can I help you?" Michael's eyes were unreadable. "I was looking for someone else. Your landlord mentioned a veteran lived here." He stopped, his voice catching for just a second, as if the sight behind John had knocked the wind out of him. "You don't have cribs for them?" John straightened his shoulders. He hated pity. "They're fine." But Michael didn't look away. He studied John's face like he was searching for something, maybe the truth, maybe a memory. Finally, he said quietly, "My father was a soldier. I remember nights like that." The next morning, John woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. When he opened the door, the landlord stood there, looking awkward. Behind him, movers carried in 2 wooden cribs, bags of groceries, a heater, and a thick mattress. John's chest tightened. He stormed out into the hallway, catching Michael at the stairs. "I didn't ask for this." Michael just smiled faintly. "I didn't ask for permission." Over the next weeks, Michael kept showing up. Sometimes with food, sometimes with diapers, sometimes just to play with the twins while John fixed something around the building. At first, John resisted, he wasn't used to help, and he didn't trust it. But he started to notice something. Michael didn't just bring things. He listened. One rainy evening, as they sat at the tiny kitchen table, Michael asked, "Why didn't you take the VA housing offer?" John sighed. "Because it's an hour away from where my wife is buried. I promised I'd take the twins to see her every week." Michael was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "What if I told you I have an apartment downtown paid for, close to everything, and it's yours until you're back on your feet?" John shook his head. "I don't take handouts." Michael leaned forward. "It's not a handout. You're going to help me instead." My company has a garage for our fleet vehicles. I need someone I can trust to run it. Full salary. Benefits. Childcare on site. John's throat tightened. Why me? Michael's eyes softened. Because I see the way you fight for them. And I wish someone had fought like that for me when I was their age. That was the day everything changed. Months later, John walked into his new apartment, twins laughing in their matching cribs, dinner on the stove, and thought back to the night he slept on the floor. He realized that sometimes, the help you resist most is the one that saves you. If you've been struggling, if you've been sleeping on your own kind of floor, I hope you hear this, you don't have to stay there forever. And if you've got the chance to be someone's Michael, take it. You never know the life you might change. So if this story touched you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes the world is cruel, but sometimes, it sends the right person to knock on your door. John didn't say yes to Michael's offer right away. Pride is a strange thing, it can keep a man alive in the worst places, but it can also keep him stuck when help is standing right in front of him. For days, he kept turning it over in his mind. Every time he looked at his twins, Ava and Liam, sleeping in their new cribs or giggling when Michael visited, he felt torn between gratitude and guilt. He had always been the provider, the protector. Accepting Michael's help felt like admitting he couldn't do it on his own. One Saturday morning, John was sitting on the floor, feeding the twins breakfast, 2 little bowls of oatmeal, when Michael showed up again. This time, he didn't bring food or furniture. Just himself. Mind if I take a seat? Michael asked, crouching down so he was eye level with Ava, who stared back at him with wide, curious eyes. John shrugged. It's your time. Michael picked up one of the tiny spoons and started feeding Liam, who gurgled happily. You know, he said softly, I didn't tell you everything. My father came back from the service, different. He had trouble holding jobs. Trouble sleeping. We didn't have much. I remember sleeping on the floor, too. Only difference is, nobody knocked on our door. John listened in silence, spoon halfway to Ava's mouth. My father never asked for help, Michael continued. By the time he realized he needed it, it was too late. He died owing money to men you don't want to owe. My mom worked herself into the